Okay, so we have two pieces of wood here. Um, First of all, this is the piece of wood that the way I split my wood is I try to split it in these grays in the squares like this, and I'll tell you why. Because I think it opens up more of the grain. We know there's no such thing as a dead standing dry tree because the wood does not dry out the side here. It only dries out the grain. That's why the people cutting trees for lumber and sawmills, they paint the end of the log with anchor seal to keep it from drying and checking before they split it. So when we look at this particular piece of wood, I put a mark on here for us, um, and you can see the growth rings in here and how I've opened them up by splitting it square. And you can see that water moisture in this wood only has a little bit over an inch to go either way in order to leave the wood and have the wood be dry, or out the ends. Now this is a 16-inch piece of wood. You could cut your wood into 8-inch pieces, and then it would just be a lot more labor, and it would dry that much quicker because it really does dry efficiently out of the ends. Most people, though, with modern day wood splitters, unless they have a commercial wood splitter, split there. And I do have a 4-way wedge for this, but I almost never use it because I'm trying to achieve this. The other reason for splitting it into squares like this is that I think it dries faster, it stacks nicer on the pile as square wood, and then when you go to put it into the fireplace, you can stack it back up like blocks, and they lock together, and it burns like a solid mass piece of wood, like the proverbial all-nighter, when you stack them all in, they're nice and tight. So you'll get a longer burn out of them because they won't burn like they're twigs. You can also make your wood dry faster just by splitting in smaller pieces, but then everybody knows it burns faster. So the piece of wood I have behind here is what a traditional way of splitting wood would be. And people would split it in quarters. They might split it again into eighths by cutting this in half. But you'll see this particular one is in a quarter, and you'll see it's almost 6 inches across. So if the water's got to move through this grain here, now it's got to go through 3 inches of wood this way and 3 inches of wood this way. So the 1 inch for the water to leave is much more efficient than the 6 inches from here around to here, because we know it's not going to go straight out the side here. So that's why I split it the way I do. Now, even if I was to split this again, you're still talking about 3 inches, and you're talking about 1.5 inches out each side versus the inch out this side. And then it gets back to how much the wood weighs and how many BTUs are in there when you throw it in your fireplace. You could keep splitting it smaller, but it's going to burn faster, and it's going to put off, if it weighs less, it's going to put off less BTUs. Another thing I like to do when I'm splitting wood, I always use a pickaroon, excuse me, Duke. And what I've done on this pickaroon is I've put a line on the pickaroon right here at 16 inches. So that when I'm out in the woods bucking up my wood, I can make sure I'm 16 inches or less. And I will please keep in mind when you're bucking up your own wood that you can burn smaller pieces of wood, 14, 12, 11, 13, no problem. They'll fit in your fireplace. But if you go over your opening in your fireplace, like for instance myself, if I go over 16 inches, I can't fit it in the fireplace. That's a good example of it right there. I was working with somebody else, and we had our wires crossed there, and that's how that happened. So I do look forward to hearing from everybody as far as how they split wood, kind of why they split it the way they do, and what they're trying to achieve as I've shown you here, what I've been trying to achieve. So thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Please hit the like button, comment, share with your friends, and comment down below. Tell me what you're doing. I'd like to hear from you. Thanks. Have a good day.